When you are trying to bring something into your life, if it contradicts who you really are, you will not be able to access it. The Toran Show is for the deep seekers, the high achievers, the ones who've read the books, done the work, and are ready to receive more. And yes, I am going to deliver that more to you with joy. Join the tens of thousands of people I've had the honor of guiding through live events, workshops, and powerful one-on-one sessions. I'm Toranj Kayvon. Let's begin. Welcome to the Toran Show. This is the first episode of the Toran Show, and I am beyond excited to be here. I don't even know what adjectives to use. This is my life's work, only because I cannot stop talking about it, and I can talk about it forevermore. Magnetism, before I start, I just want to give you a definition of it. Magnetism is a coming home. It is who we really are. Now, humans find all sorts of reasons and conditions not to allow themselves to live in that wholeness, to live in that abundance. Those who've had near-death experiences talk about when they release their body and they're no longer in this realm, then whenever they want to know something or they have a desire, it is instant. Of course, your desires change when you are no longer in this physical body. But when we shed the ego, when we shed the limitations, the perceptions that we have in this physical body, we are magnetic all the time. And that is what has been reported in people who've had near-death experiences. They think about something or they want to know something, and it's not a learning process. It's an instant knowing. The reason why knowing is instant in the non-physical is because we are in our wholeness. And cultivating magnetism is really about the spiritual words when they tell you, know thyself, know who you really, really are. If you've ever heard of The Secret, if you've ever seen the film The Secret, you will have noticed a lady named Esther Hicks. Now, Esther Hicks channels an energy called Abraham Hicks. And I know for those of you who don't know what channeling is, you're like, what is this? Esther channels a non-physical energy called Abraham. And Abraham talks about the nature of reality and the law of attraction. If you look at the first film, The Secret, you'll see Esther there channeling Abraham. And then you'll see in the subsequent copies, they are no longer there. The reason they made that choice, which they later shared in their own content, is they decided that The Secret, while beneficial to masses, did not reveal the ultimate secret. And that ultimate secret is the fact that we are, and in their words, they say, extensions of non-physical energy. So that which you call God, that which you call the Creator, we are extensions of that energy. And so the reason why they stepped out was because people were not getting to know that true secret. Now, this is what distinguishes magnetism from the law of attraction. The law of attraction states that like is drawn to like. However, magnetism is your state of wholeness. And to learn the state of wholeness while you are in the physical body is the most evolved thing, the most evolved journey that you could go on, the highest expression of humanity that you could experience is knowing who you really are while you are in this place that tricks you into forgetting, that puts conditions on you, and knowing your unconditional nature is the most spiritual and most enlightened thing that you can pursue. Now, people know it as, manifesting and making things happen for you and getting the car and the house and the partner and the money and the fame. But magnetism is the state of wholeness that brings anything like those shades to itself because it already knows it's worthy. So you do not do in order to prove worthiness. You pursue anything because you are worthy. And that brings me to my story. I was probably one of the most insecure people in the world. there were so many triggers in life that constantly put me in a state of lack, meaning constantly were evidence for this belief that I carried around, which was that I was not valuable, I was unworthy, and that I needed to obtain certain things in my physical outer reality in order to finally be worthy. Now, the consciousness that we pick up, the beliefs that we pick up in our childhood become the vibration that we copy and paste in all other relationships. So when I was a child, I learned that I am worthy when I perform. I am worthy when I hit these certain markers. And so that became my framework for all of my life. I am worthy when, I am worthy when. And so the way that that benefited me from the outside was I became very, very successful in the realms that I worked in, whether it was as a photographer or as an actor. I got to experience success that many people would have celebrated and thought, I have made it. Unfortunately, I never felt like I made it because I was pursuing in order to experience worthiness. I was not pursuing because I was worthy. And that is where a lot of successful people talk about this idea of not being fulfilled, not being able to experience fulfillment with their accomplishments. Well, that's just the key of it. You can only experience fulfillment when you pursue from worthiness. And if you are trying to find your own value, which is essentially you looking for something that doesn't exist in that place. So it's like you going into your closet looking for a tree when there's no tree there. So you will be forever looking. You will be a fool looking for something that is not there. And so what that does is it puts you on this hamster wheel of always trying to create the next thing and the next thing, thinking that you are here to manifest in order to flex your muscles and prove that you are worthy, not knowing that you are worthy. And when you start applying that abundance mindset, meaning operating from your well-being, operating from your magic, operating from your abundance, your wholeness, your love, your blueprint, your nature, when you start creating from that place, that is when magic happens. That is when you start making things happen instantaneously or as though it is magic. And here's another aspect of it. When things that you desire don't happen, you still remain in abundance consciousness because you have trust. You know that your vibration will bring to you exactly what it is that you need. And so that is one of the places where people experience separation, is when the thing that they desire doesn't happen and they start experiencing separation. The thing that I teach my clients is how to release contradictory energy. Whenever we have a desire, when we release contradictory energy, we are able to achieve it. And that again is also magnetism. Magnetism is energetic integrity. Let's look at success. Let's look at any system that is successful. And I'm going to define success for you here as well. Any system that is successful has energetic integrity. They asked Oprah, what is it that I believe it was on the Trevor Noah show. I think so. Trevor asked Oprah, what is the one thing you have observed in the people that you have seen be successful? You have interviewed the most successful people on this planet. What is that common thread between all of these people? And Oprah said, they have a vision. And the truth is, we all have to some degree a vision. But when she says they have a vision, it is a direction that they visit on a daily basis, on a regular basis. They calibrate themselves to that vision. That is energetic integrity. That is energy flowing in one direction. Now, I'm going to explain this a little bit better. Whether you are looking at a company or you're looking at a body, or you're looking at any system, you're looking at your psychology, the brain, any system that is successful has harmony. And that harmony means all of its faculties move in a singular direction towards a common goal. Now, think about a country that has diverse, not just diversity, but has contradictory energy. There will be turmoil in that country. The same is true in your brain. Anytime you have contradictions in the brain, in your thought patterns, well, that's cognitive dissonance, and that causes dis-ease in your psychology. Anytime there's contradiction in the physical body, that causes dis-ease in the body. For example, an autoimmune disease is a contradiction. It is literally the body attacking the body. The same is true when you are trying to bring something into your life. If it contradicts who you really are, and spirituality says, know thyself. If it contradicts who you really are, you will not be able to access it, or it will be delayed. Or when you do experience it, it will be short-lived, the joy of it, because you were pursuing it, for example, in order to feel worthiness, not because you are worthy. That is one of the biggest contradictions on our planet, is worthiness. Unfortunately, we experience our worthiness as conditional, and that is the ultimate contradiction. Now, something that creates energetic integrity, because I was talking about countries and I was talking about psychology, is actually the vibration of acceptance. So, for example, if you and I are having an argument and I tell you, hey, let's agree to disagree. That in itself creates harmony. That in itself creates energetic integrity. For example, instead of us being in a tug of war with one another, you're pulling one direction, I'm pulling the other, that being contradictory energy, instead of doing that, what we do is go, hey, let's agree to disagree. And in that moment, we are no longer standing as opponents, but possibly at some point shoulder to shoulder. When we release the fight, only then can we start to move towards a common vision, towards the same direction. Whenever I'm working with my clients and they have contradictions, I offer new beliefs, but I always give them tools to integrate the things that feel heavy, because in order to create integrity, you actually need to bring the energies that feel heavy in. You bring them closer to your being. Now, humor actually is a vibration that creates energetic integrity. It releases contradictory energy and creates integrity. That's why hearing things through the perspective of comedy can be so uplifting. It can take something that was heavy or dark and uplift it. And I often use humor as a way to integrate my clients, to integrate their traumas. And my friend my friend was getting coached by me, and she's like, do you just roast your clients? I'm like, sometimes, yes. I just sit there and I roast them into alignment, and it works beautifully. And I roast myself all the time. Okay, a little bit about me. Who the heck am I? I actually, at some point in my life, I realized I am so insecure. And all these things, all these external stimuli are making me want to not live anymore. And I felt that way, and it's a serious topic, but I felt that way since I was 9 years old. My value, my self-worth was extremely conditional. And so as the conditions outside of me changed, so did my desire to want to live. I lived with chronic blank ideation, you know, that word. I think I can say it on YouTube. I'm not sure. I lived with chronic that ideation. I also had OCD. I had an eating disorder. And I say that with a smile because it's so nice when you actually understand where these vibrations are coming from, where the contradictory energy is to who you really are. When you understand that, you can begin to heal. And I healed myself. And one of the things that I used in order to heal myself was the understanding that in order to create a new Torange, I need to make sure that my environment supports the new me. And the way I did that was I heard this, there was this research that was done where, I forget which school it was. I don't know. And they said that the 5 people closest to you, you are the average of those 5 people, your finances, your beliefs, the way that you think. And I looked around me and I said, are the people that are around me, are these people my role models? Are they who I want to be like? And the answer was no. These are wonderful people, but they don't have the same vision that I have. I want to be so confident. I want to feel whole within me. And so I need teachers that teach that wholeness. I chose 5 teachers because I couldn't choose 5 friends. I chose 5 teachers and I got all of their books. And not only did I get all of their books, but I bought 5 plants. I kid you not. I knew that the energy that surrounds me was the energy that was going to reinforce who I was. And so I bought 5 plants. I named them after the 5 authors. And every day I said hello to them. And all day, every day, I listened to their books. I kid you not. Only when I was sleeping was I not listening to books. Whether I was in the shower or I was eating, I listened constantly because my life actually depended on me changing. It really did. Here's another thing I did. I understood the opposite vibration and the opposite belief of what my old self was practicing. And I started writing them on construction paper. I started writing them on poster paper, and I literally put it all over my room. The only place that I did not have posters were on my floor and on my ceiling, which I couldn't access, or else I would have put posters there. I didn't let people in my room. Let's just say that. Every morning when I woke up, I engaged my entire body, my entire being in saying each of those affirmations, those new beliefs, that new vibration out loud. Literally, I would wake up in the morning and the first thing I would do before doing anything else, before touching my phone, before using the washroom, I would get up on my feet and I would use my entire body to read every single poster on my wall. The reason is I understood that the more energy I put behind this new learning, this new me, the faster my body and my being would adapt to that vibration. And sometimes I would bring myself to tears as I would incant those words. Now, during that time, I was living in India and I was earning about $2,000 as my day rate per shoot. Just to give you a background, some of my clients are Rolling Stone, Forbes, Vogue, celebrities, advertising campaigns for brands like Tresemme and Bumble. And before all of that, I was obviously doing smaller campaigns and I was charging about $2,000 a day. That was my day rate. And my jobs were incredibly far apart from one another, and I was not in a good place financially. And I was living in a country so far away from where I grew up in Vancouver, Canada. And so as I was reading these books, as I was listening to these teachers, I understood I have to experience abundance within me in order to attract it. How I cannot have abundance if I don't feel abundant. But how am I going to do that? I literally have nothing. I was overweight at that time. My health was very poor. My mental health was poor. I didn't have friends. Really, I was quite new to the country. I didn't have financial stability. So what did I have? What could I possibly focus on that would be the vibration of abundance so that vibration will expand? Because whatever we focus on expands. I needed to experience abundance. I needed to experience my blueprint in order to be able to manifest the things that I desired, which means I need to experience wholeness. And I thought, and I said, I know, when I photograph people, when I show them how beautiful they are, because I truly believe that my talent is not in photography. My talent is in seeing beauty. And that's what I do with my clients. And that's what I do, whether I'm photographing somebody or I'm coaching somebody, my talent is seeing their beauty. And so there's nothing more thrilling to me than to capture someone's beauty and share it with them and show it to them and show them how capable and beautiful and gorgeous and sparkly they are. And I kid you not, I have photographed some of the biggest celebrities in the world. I've photographed models who've been photographed millions of times, actors who've been photographed millions of times. And it has happened so often that when I photograph someone, it is either their favorite photo or photo shoot of them, or it is their mother's favorite photograph or photo shoot of them. And I truly believe it is because of this incredible talent that was given to me by the universe to see people's beauties. That is something that I knew I had in abundance. And that was the love in my heart, the love in my heart. And one of the ways that the love in my heart would get activated was when I would photograph people. And so I started actually going through my photo shoots in the past where I would photograph people and I would remember how I felt looking at them through the lens, because sometimes when I'm photographing people, it's like a meditation. It's like a prayer. It's like I could cry right now talking about it. It's like the world slows down and I can see this person and I can see them, the love in their eyes, and I can see their fullness and their wholeness. And it is one of the most incredible experiences that I've ever had the honor of feeling. And I believe that I'm witnessing them the way that Source or God witnesses them. And there's so much love in that moment that my heart spills over, pours over, and I cry because the energy is too much. It's like electricity going through my body, and the voltage is so high that I cry. And so I would remember those moments where I would look at someone and feel tremendous amounts of love, and then I would share it with them, and they would see that love in themselves. And as I would remember these moments, I would utter to myself, I have so much love in my heart. I have so much love in my heart. And in essence, I was saying, I have so much God in my heart. And believe me, I would be driving, I didn't drive it when I lived in India. I would be in the back seat, and I remember the cab driver would be driving and I would just be bawling my eyes out. Tears would be streaming down my face as I would recall these memories and tell myself, I have so much love in my heart. And that was the vibration of abundance. Not only was that the vibration of abundance, but that was also who I really, really was. That was me connecting to my wholeness, my blueprint. And in that state, I started to say, I have $12,000 in my pocket. I kid you not. As I was experiencing the love in my heart, I would utter the words, I have $12,000 in my pocket. I have $12,000. At the end of this month, there's $12,000 sitting in my pocket. There's $12,000. There's $12,000 in my pocket. And I have so much love in my heart. And there was complete energetic alignment between me thinking about the photo shoots and me thinking about the love in my heart and me thinking about the money that was going to be in my pocket at the end of the month. Now, I probably thought if I was going to create $12,000, that would maybe come through multiple shoots, say 6 shoots that I would get hopefully within this month. Before that month ended, I got a phone call for a photo shoot for one of the biggest brands in the country, with one of the biggest celebrities in the country, with one of the leading advertising agencies in the world. And what they offered me for that photo shoot was not $2,000, not $12,000, but $16,000. And That was a lot of money for me to earn in one shoot at that point in my career. It was the most I had ever made on a photo shoot at that point in my career. And I knew that I had manifested that. I had magnetized that amount to myself because I had stepped into the vibration of who I really, really was. And that is the magic of magnetism. And that is also the wisdom of magnetism. I'm going to go back to Abraham Hicks, and Abraham Hicks tells us you can never deactivate a vibration, but that you need to activate another one in its place. And the same is also shown to us in psychology. Race car drivers are taught that when they get caught in a spin, meaning that they are moving towards a wall, to look in the opposite direction of the wall in order to not crash into the wall. Skiers are taught the same thing. They're taught to look in the spaces, to when they're moving, to look where there is space, to not look at the trees, to avoid looking at the trees by activating their awareness of the spaces. We spend our lives contradicting who we really are by our conditional understanding of ourselves. Events happen and we pick up ideas about ourselves, and those ideas become the contradictions that stop us from experiencing the life that we truly deserve by becoming truly, truly magnetic. And this is what I help my clients achieve. I help them create energetic integrity by activating the vibrations that will contradict the contradictions, that will create wholeness, that will create unity, that will create energetic integrity within themselves. We need to activate the opposite focus and vibrations to the energies of limitation and lack. In other words, we need to learn how to shift from lack consciousness to abundance consciousness. Honestly, my biggest problem with this podcast is that I want to continue talking to you. And I am so excited to be here. I am so excited to be sharing this information with you. Like I mentioned earlier, this is my life's work. You're going to get a lot of it. And if you would like to work one-on-one with me, just go to thetourangeshow.com, and there you can sign up for the I Am Circle, which is group coaching, or you can work with me one-on-one. This is the most delicious topic in the world, and I believe that everybody wants to be magnetic because everybody wants to go home. Everybody wants to be in this physical reality while remembering who they really, really are. And it is my honor to help in creating more wholeness and more integrity and more magnetism in the world. Thank you again for being here. This is The Torange Show. I'm your host, Torange Kayvon, and I'm so grateful to have had you here. I'll see you in the next episode. We make the world a more beautiful place when we share the things that light up our hearts and uplift us. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with at least one other person. And if you want more of this content, please like and subscribe